Hello and welcome to the video lecture for David Labaree's Making of American High School based on Central High School's history. Excuse my voice as well. I'm sort of coming over a bit of a cold um, that hopefully will be over soon. But David Labaree has written extensively about Central's uh, history, which is a really important history, not just for Philadelphia, but an important history to consider when thinking about its influence on other comprehensive high schools throughout the nation. A comprehensive high school is one that has various curriculum tracks housed within one building, which is a fairly new concept during the late 19th century, which is when Central was sort of put together. So there's a lot of things that sort of make Central a unique school, but as a way of sort of talking about Central High School, I'd like to actually introduce three theories about schooling that David Labaree talks about in another book of his entitled, oh, wow, the title just escaped me. How to succeed in school without really learning, and also includes his discussion on Central High School in relation to one of the theories that he talks about. But I sort of like to go in a particular order and sort of wind up at the theory that talks about Central High School. Again, these are theories that aren't necessarily sort of original to his own thinking. What makes them unique and nuanced in his discussion is the fact that he's applying these theories, these very sociological theories, to school and to the institution of schooling. The first theory is human capital theory. And human capital theory suggests that the purpose of school is to understand humans as a resource, to understand humans as capital. And we're thinking about capital sort of as here. And really connects school with a particular economic structure, understanding that there are certain roles that our capitalist society needs to be fulfilled. And it's school that sort of becomes this place that pushes in particular directions in order to fulfill some of those roles. So folks have complicated this theory somewhat, particularly because of our economic structure, which is really based on capitalism, and sort of embodies this idea of survival of the fittest, right? So that capitalism, in order to sort of survive, is based on a competitive ladder that sort of requires some to be rich and some to be poor. And so when you link school with an economic structure, with an economic order, while it sort of suggests that school is not in the business of changing that order, that school not only supports it but helps to maintain it by again seeking to create students who will fulfill particular economic roles within a society. Very much connected to that is this other theory called social reproduction theory, which says that school reproduces and maintains social inequity by maintaining a social inequality and maintaining a particular social ladder. So again, there's sort of a lot of connections that can be made between these first two theories. But it's this idea that school pushes certain students in certain ways, or to sort of pursue certain jobs, and really sort of looks at inequalities, not just around race, but also inequalities around race and gender, and thinking about why there might be an overrepresentation of Black and Latino students in vocational trades, or overrepresentation of males who sort of get pushed or towards the hard sciences or to math. Um, this theory uh, sort of suggests it kind of works along with Dewey's idea that school and society are sort of reflections of each other, and um, sort of positions school as this place in which students are sort of pushed in sort of particular directions given their own social positions or their own identities, particularly given the expectations that teachers might have. Lastly, the third theory is status competition theory. Um, and status competition theory is this idea that there is a quest for credentials. And the quest for credentials is what drives an educational market. It is this idea that diplomas carry a different weight. Each credential sort of carries a different weight dependent on the school that it comes from. Meaning that school becomes this marketplace in which people sort of compete over what credential to sort of get from where. And again, all three of these theories can be sort of seen as interconnected, particularly because when you think about this idea of status competition theory, when you think about an educational marketplace, you think about how if you go to a very good preschool, you are more than likely to go to a very good elementary school, more than likely to go to a very good junior high school, more than likely to go to a very good high school, more than likely to go to a very good undergraduate institution, more than likely to go to a good law school or medical school or graduate school, more than likely to get a very good job. And so it's this idea that a credential is something that you can cash in on, particularly when a credential sort of comes from an institution that is exclusive. And that idea of exclusivity was something that sort of, again, made Central High School really unique. And one of the arguments that David Labaree is sort of positioning within the article that you read, but then also within this other book that I mentioned, is the idea that Central High School was really influential in sort of starting that market up. Starting that market up by making the high school degree, by making a high school degree from Central High School something that was exclusive. Typically, when we hear graduation rates as low as 25%, we tend to sort of worry about that institution and think, well, what's going on? What's wrong? Like, why aren't students doing better? Or why aren't teachers sort of teaching better? Why aren't students passing? And yet, in this context, given the level of rigor within Central High School, given the principle of meritocracy that it tried to really sort of promote within its students, which is sort of linked to sort of this high rate of individualism, that rate became not a marker of failure, but rather a marker of success. Success because of how it sort of maintained this idea that Central High School was rigorous, and that attaining a degree from Central High School was something that was exclusive and not easily attainable. Really sort of important, to that conversation, or that conversation becomes sort of important to us as we think about just the idea of an educational marketplace and what it means to make school into a marketplace in which not all schools are necessarily sort of created equal. What sort of investments do we have in equal education or equitable education for all children when we already sort of are accepting of an educational marketplace which sort of says that a diploma from Temple will be different from a diploma from Girard College, which will be different from a diploma from Harvard University.